How's it going, everyone? Bass here. It is that time. It is time to go over the PFF grades for the victory over the Aaron Rodgers-owned Chicago Bears 24-14 in Week 6. So as usual, I'll be going over the winners or the high grades and also the losers or the low grades on both offense and defense. So without further ado, let's bring the screen right up and get into the first player on offense on the winner's side, and that is Marcedes Lewis for his second week in a row with a high grade. Packers' number one graded player on offense this week with an 89.5 overall grade, 89.6 receiving grade, 75.0 pass block grade, and a 71.2 run block grade. He caught both targets for 17 yards. But Marcedes Lewis was primarily used in the blocking game. I saw him blocking 1v1 versus Khalil Mack multiple times, and it didn't seem like he had a single problem. I mean, this guy is basically a tight end that's built like a lineman, being 6'7", 267 pounds. The dude's an absolute unit. That's why they call him Big Dog. You can put him up against defensive ends. He can block them. You can run to his side on the strong side or wherever he is and gain yards. This dude is an absolute beast. It's crazy, him being 37, almost 38, how much he can still do in this league. He's such a great piece to have on this offense. He fits so well in the Matt LaFleur system. Next up on this list, we have Aaron Jones, who's on this list a ton already this year. He was the second highest graded on the offense, 84.7 overall grade, 82.2 receiving grade, and a 74.2 pass block grade. He carried the ball 13 times for 76 yards, 5.4 average, and he also had 4 receptions for 34 yards and that touchdown. And Aaron Jones has just been an absolute beast all year. Like I said, he's really showing why the Packers made a good idea re-signing him. And one thing people may not notice as much, he's been a very good pass blocker this year as well. We always saw Jamal Williams kind of being that running back the Packers would use in situations where the running back is pass blocking. This year they've been using Aaron Jones, and he's done a very good job at it. He has the second highest overall pass block grade for running backs in the entire NFL with an 88.9. And he's also the third highest graded overall running back in the NFL with an 81.3. Lastly, for the winners here on offense, we have Allen Lazard. Now, although Lazard doesn't show up on the stat sheet much, he's still a very big part of this offense. And he actually was the 6th highest graded offensive player for the Packers this week, but I wanted to include him on this list because of how well he was blocking out there on Sunday. Allen Lazard finished with a 74.4 overall grade, a 70.2 receiving grade, a 69.8 pass block grade, and a very good 79.7 run block grade. Lazard also caught the ball 3 times for 27 yards and a touchdown, obviously on that shovel pass, the fake jet motion to Aaron Jones and the shovel pass to Allen Lazard, just a beautifully designed play. Allen Lazard is probably talking about that all week, saying, I'm scoring on that play, I'm scoring on that play. Matt LaFleur drew it up, it worked wonderfully. Touchdown, Allen Lazard. And Allen Lazard really stays on the field, not because of his receiving presence. Now, he is a good receiver. He's a big body receiver, 6'5", 227, can, body out defenders, catch the ball at high points. But he stays on the field because of his ability to alter the run game, and just in general, his blocking ability is just one of the best in the league throughout his career. The dude just is a monster out there. I've seen him just throw, even in this last game, there's a clip of him just throwing a defender on the ground, like pushing him back 5 yards. Just an absolute monster in the run game. They even line him up at tight end. A lot of the times he was lined up in that inline tight end spot on the shovel pass. So he just is so versatile in this Matt LaFleur offense. Now moving on to the losers for the offense or the low grades. First up, we have Robert Tonyan, yet another poorly graded game. He was the lowest graded player on the Packers offense, a 43.8 overall grade, 51.5 receiving grade, and a 43.3 run block grade. And I feel like I saw Robert Tonyan get blown up in the run game like at least 3 times, where he just completely was thrown in the backfield, completely messed up plays. And it's really been like that all year. Robert Tonyan just hasn't looked good in the blocking category at all, and even in the receiving category. And it's just a very, very slow start for Tonyan this year. He hasn't been getting much separation in the receiving game, and he's only totaled more than 10 yards in one game this year. But all that said, I do hope he can turn it around. Next on the losers on offense, we have Royce Newman. Here he is again. He was the second lowest graded offensive player on the Packers, a 48.5 overall grade, 42.0 pass block grade, and a 50.4 run block grade. He allowed 2 pressures and 2 sacks, and I saw him completely whiff on a couple blocks when the Bears ran stunts at him. He just completely missed it, one of which, ended up sacking Aaron Rodgers. And Newman's just really not playing the best this regular season. Everyone thought he was going to be the next Josh sitting at right guard after the preseason he had, and obviously his hair and whatnot. But he just really hasn't been playing well this season. As you see, his highest graded game was in Cincinnati, a 70.2. But other than that, everything's around 50 or below it. Just hasn't really been playing well. And he kind of might be the odd man out once David Bakhtiari and Josh Myers return. Obviously, one of those guards are going to have to be the odd man out. And let's face it, Jon Runyan is just playing better than him, but we'll see when that time comes. Now moving over to the defensive side, and let's start with the winners here, and we have Rashawn Gary. Now, Rashawn Gary didn't record a sack, but he also had the highest pressures on the team with 7, and he was disrupting Justin Fields all day. He was the highest graded Packer defender with an 87.4 overall grade, 82.9 run defense grade, 75.4 tackle grade, and a 72.5 pass rush grade. He also recorded 4 tackles and 3 stops. And Rashawn Gary has been disruptive all year. He has 25 total pressures, which is first on this team, and he's definitely making that jump that we all thought was going to happen, that we were all talking about this offseason. Next up on the defensive winners, we have Chandon Sullivan, and he's been a lot better the last couple weeks. He was the Packers' second highest graded defender with a 74.5 overall grade, 65.0 run defense grade, and a 74.1 coverage grade. He was targeted 3 times and allowed 0 receptions for a 39.6 passer rating. And the Packers really need Chandon Sullivan to play well right now. They need him to play well all year, but right now, most importantly, with all these cornerback injuries, slot cornerback is such an important part to this Packers defense. So him playing well these last few games is definitely helping them. All right, for third, here we have Kenny Clark. Now, Kenny Clark's been an absolute menace all year. He had 6 pressures in this game, 2 sacks, 2 stops. He was the third highest graded Packers defender this week, 73.6 overall grade, 67.6 run defense grade, 70.6 tackle grade, and a 68.5 pass rush grade. He's second on the team in pressures this year with 22, just behind our last player, Rashawn Gary. And he's also the 8th highest graded defensive lineman in the entire NFL. Kenny Clark has looked very good in this Joe Barry defense, and he's been playing out of his mind. Now, I want to add Damontre Campbell really quickly. I usually only do 3 here, but I just need to add him because he's pretty much been on the list every single week. And he was the 4th highest graded Packer this week with a 71.4 overall grade, 65.2 run defense, 81.3 tackle, and 70.0 coverage grade. But I need to shout him out because he is now the number 1 graded linebacker via PFF in the NFL. I don't know if there's ever been at any point in the season a Packers linebacker that I could have said that about. So shout out Damontre Campbell. All right, so now let's move on to the bad side of defense. And if you were to take a guess, yes, it would obviously be Isaac Yiadom. I have to include him in this for that first drive. Although he only played 9 snaps on Sunday, you have to include him. That was awful. He was the Packers' lowest graded defender, surprise, with a 26.8 overall grade and a 27.1 coverage grade. I mean, he was picked on the entire first drive. I'm pretty sure every single passing play went his way. And then, of course, that pass interference in the end zone where he basically tackled Mooney for, no reason. It's like, come on, dude. Benched right after that for Rasul Douglas. And Rasul Douglas, although he wasn't graded that high, I think had a nice game, especially way better than Isaac Yiadom would have played the rest of that game. I would bet on it. Rasul Douglas came in, made some nice tackles, did have that questionable hit on Justin Fields, but overall was a physical player, played a lot better than Isaac Yiadom. And we need to see Rasul Douglas moving forward over Yiadom every single time. There's no excuses. I wouldn't be shocked even if Yiadom was cut. So, lastly, on the defensive losers list here, we have linebacker Chris Barnes. He was the 2nd lowest graded defender on the Packers this week with a 28.5 overall grade, 34.3 run defense grade, 74.9 tackle grade, his only good grade here, and a 41.5 coverage grade. And weirdly enough, he had less snaps than newly added linebacker Jalen Smith, which I didn't think would happen the first week Smith was active. Now, let's say it, Smith didn't have a good game either. He wasn't graded well either. And Barnes only attributed for 1 tackle. And the thing with Barnes this year, he's just been wildly inconsistent. And I kind of expected more from him this year. So I'm really hoping the Packers can end up figuring out this linebacker 2 spot with all these guys, Burks, Smith, and Barnes. I wouldn't even include Ty Summers as that because just no. But I'm hoping they do figure that out because Burks and Smith are the next 2 lowest graded defenders this week. So I guess shout out to them, but you don't really want a shout out for that. But that about does it for today's video. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of these grades. Do you agree with them or do you disagree with them? And also leave a like down below. Definitely supports my channel a lot. And on that note, I'll catch you on the next one. As always, go Pack Go.